listening.
This is Vermont Edition. I'm Jane Lindholm. You're not allowed to vote in U.S. federal elections for president, congressperson, etc., unless you are a U.S. citizen. There's no law prohibiting states from making rules allowing non-citizens to vote. But since the 1920s, no states have made that kind of allowance. It used to be much more common. But some municipalities have decided that they're going to let people who live in their communities, work in their businesses, and pay their town taxes, but don't have U.S. citizenship, vote in local affairs. Vermont communities have considered this over the years, but none currently allow it. But Winooski and Montpelier are both contemplating a change. Today on the show, we're going to talk about how it would work and why these municipalities are considering it. Joining us is Eric Covey, a Winooski City Council member. Nice to have you on the program.
Thanks so much for having me, Jane.
Also with me here in VPR's Montpelier studio is Rob Roper, president of the Ethan Allen Institute, a conservative think tank. Nice to have you with us today.
Thank you for having us.
So, Eric Covey, can I ask you first, how and why is Winooski even contemplating this idea? How did this come up?
Absolutely. So it began with a discussion just in regards to our city's charter on whether or not we wanted to open up and look at the charter. In that process, I did hear from a number of Winooski residents who are non-citizens who, like you mentioned, pay taxes, own homes, send their kids to our schools, but have zero say in local decision-making about how their tax dollars are being spent on their kids' education or on local issues that impact their quality of life. So to me, that's what really kicked off the discussion, and we had a public hearing part of the process as the City Council was considering whether or not we would move forward in some way or another, where a number of community members, both citizens and non-citizens, came out to speak in support of us opening up the charter to look at potentially allowing this.
And you personally support this idea?
I do, yeah. I think we have a strong history of non-citizen voting in local issues that you alluded to. That was actually very common practice up until about the 1920s. And really, at the end of the day, this is about the local impact on residents. The idea is if you're a resident, you should be able to vote on issues that impact your quality of life.
Rob Roper, obviously you're here as the foil, so why don't you think this is a good idea?
Well, that's just one instance where I think the federal government actually gets it right, and I think that you should have to be a citizen in order to vote in elections. These folks who are here are immigrants, and they're here legally, and we respect what they contribute to the communities. But we want to incentivize them to become citizens. And becoming a citizen of the United States is a process. And in that process, you not only learn your rights, such as voting, but also a lot of the responsibilities that come along with those rights. And I think until they go through that process, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have them voting. That's something they should aspire to become a citizen.